Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. So this is the last and final keynote session that we have, and we have saved the best, the last one. No, all other keynote speakers were super great and very useful for our understanding of AI and the issues related to AI. But I think this one is most relevant to us in higher education. So I think you will really enjoy the presentation that you will hear. So let me give a brief introduction of our speaker, Dr. James Pitarresi, and then we'll have him come up and share his thoughts with us. So Dr. Pitarresi is a distinguished teaching professor of mechanical engineering, and he also serves as the Vice Provost for Online and Innovation Education at Bighamton University, State University of New York. He also serves as Executive Director of the Center for Learning and Teaching at the same institution. He was previously a chair of the Mechanical Engineering Department for 11 years, and his engineering research has been in the field of computational mechanics, stress analysis, shock and vibration, and mechanical reliability of electronic components. Recently, his research has focused on student success, particularly among marginalized identified undergraduate students at Bighamton. Dr. Pitarresi co-founded the Innovation Scholars Program at the institution, and he currently teaches courses in innovation. He is also currently serves as co-chairs of the Generative AI Advisory Board for that particular campus. So we're thrilled to have him here today, and we're excited to hear from you. Please help me welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, microphone's working, right? You can hear me in the back? Yeah? Okay. Just like when I teach, everyone sits in the back. Okay, I get it. A few people up front. I appreciate it. All right, let me get this started up. Hopefully I'm doing this right. Oops, that's the end. We want to start at the beginning. That's not going to work. All right, I'm going to just tap through all these. So we're just doing this backwards, and I'll answer any questions for you in just a few seconds. Hopefully you're catching all this. Just because I'm being lazy. I didn't realize I had this many slides. I apologize. Okay, let's get started. Hopefully this works. Yes, you heard all about that, and I'm very proud to say one of my students here, Dr. Doug Smith, is one of my first students when I was at Bighamton, so I'm so proud that he's a full professor of mechanical engineering here. So that's just wonderful. It's really exciting. And we had a great conversation earlier, so fantastic. Something crazy happened, right? November 2022, ChatGPT 3.5. Wow. That was really interesting. I didn't hear about it till around December when a couple of my friends in IT were saying, hey, James, you got to check this out. But by January, I did hear about it. We ran a workshop at the Center for Learning and Teaching. And oh my gosh, the homework apocalypse. Every professor was like, this is cheating, everyone's gonna cheat. What, like homework isn't gonna mean anything, tests aren't gonna mean anything. That's from Ethan Malik. If you don't follow Ethan Malik, he's a real thought leader in the area of generative AI and education. And Ethan and I met last week in New York and had a good conversation. So he wrote a piece called The Homework Apocalypse. And it was, exactly about that. Like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do as educators? Then something really crazy happened, right? March 2023, the second generation came out, ChatGPT 4, and there's a bunch of them, 4.0, and there's a bunch of these. And by the way, the images were generated with ChatGPT, right? And so when we look at the second generation large language models, we can see, and there's a bunch of them up here, we can see that, in terms of standardized testing, they're they're pretty smart, right? And we're using the word smart in a very casual way here. But their performance is pretty impressive. And by the way, I took that paper, the Llama 3 herd of models, put it in ChatGPT, and asked it to look at the data and produce this graph. Okay, so yes, your students are doing this and handing it in for homework, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I also, in that paper, wanted to look at this metric, which I thought was easy. It's the GRE, Graduate Record Exam, and how the different models stack up for that. Now, we all know you can cheat on this. If I tell you, here's the test I'm going to give you to see how well you do, you're going to train the model to do really good on that test, right? That's, learning to the test. So I take it with a grain of salt, but nevertheless, that line is about a typical graduate student. So running on my iPhone, I have ChatGPT 4.0. I have access to the information, the ability to produce some work that's roughly equivalent to, a graduate student, a first-year graduate student. That's pretty powerful, and it's very disruptive. So what Ethan said, and I just love this, the key to surviving this new educational landscape is to embrace AI's potential while being mindful of its limitations and ethical challenges. And that really sums it up. By the way, if you're thinking, okay, we'll sit through the presentation and James, you're going to tell us what to do because you have the answers. No, I don't, right? We got to work together to figure out how it works. And the solution for me and my courses and my institution is going to be different than it is for you at your institution, the courses you teach. Okay, but it's easy. We just go to the ChatGPT manual. Wrong. There is no ChatGPT manual, right? There's some guidelines from OpenAI. There's all kinds of people scamming you. For $50, I'll give you 50 great prompts for ChatGPT to improve your business. No, there really isn't. We're on our own here, okay? Dave Copps, I love this. I wrote this quote down. We are living in the experiment, right? We truly are. And as a consequence, the more of us who work on these things and discuss it and share, the better. And by the way, I don't know if you'd want them, but I'll send these slides so you don't, feel free to sit back and relax. I'll provide the slides to you. I probably stole half of them from somebody else anyways. So feel free to, use them in the future. Where did these large language models get their data? Well, we were just talking about this. So historically, just went out to the internet. Okay. So 40% came from places like Wikipedia, Reddit, right? If you've been on Reddit, you go down 3 layers and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is horrific. How did we go from, how to analyze, how to use fast Fourier transforms to, some awful screed about some hateful thing, right? It's crazy. Oh, by the way, that's in there. Now, through human reinforced learning and so on and so forth, we've been able to mitigate some of that. And 60% now is synthetic data, roughly. So synthetic data is being used, whole nother subject. But it's, it's pretty interesting where things are going. All right. As faculty, as instructors, where do we spend our time? Well, teaching, right? Makes sense. Syllabus, content, right? All that kind of stuff. Where else? Course tasks, grading, not my favorite. Office hours, I love office hours. I love students coming by and chatting with them, finding out where they're at, what their goals and aspirations are. It's exciting. Administrative tasks. Oh, it's my favorite. Yeah, right? But, advising, that's cool. But, we have service to the university, to the community, and so forth. For those in engineering, computer science, we have ABET accreditation. You guys are coming up for it, right? So, yeah, good luck. Yeah, no, it's so much fun. but it's a good thing. And then, of course, research, right? Mentoring, writing proposals, publications, things like that. Okay, so that's what we do. For teaching and learning, I've identified a bunch of topics, right? So what are some of these course-related things? Building the syllabus, curating some materials, tweaking my course, updating it, developing some new content. But, I want assessments tied to the learning objectives. I think that's important. Maybe brainstorm some active learning approaches. Yeah, I heard about this active learning. How do I do it, right? Develop some practice exams and problems, right? Grading and feedback. So I got to tell you, for a while, I was vice provost for student success and faculty development. And the #1 complaint from students was that faculty didn't grade their homework or their tests and give them feedback in any sort of reasonable time frame. And it was very difficult for students to understand, is this right? Is it wrong? So that was a big one. Okay, what improves student learning? Active student-centered learning, right? That helps them. Frequent formative assessments, right? Connecting concepts to practice. Well-structured learning materials, right? So on and so forth, right? Tutoring, office hours, TA support. Okay, generative AI can help with all these. And I'm going to talk about that today. So if you haven't played with some of these tools, I think it's a great opportunity. And my advice, I always say, play with them for 5 to 10 hours. Try a bunch of different things. See what it's good at, what it's not good at, where it can help you, where it's not so much help. And then, you can make an informed decision. Okay, so any one of the big tools, they're really good as a creative assistant. That's one of my big takeaways. Remember I said, this is as smart as like an entering graduate student. Wow, for $20 a month, I have a graduate student who I can ask to do a bunch of things to help me, right? That's pretty exciting. So let's see how it plays out. Let us suppose your department chair, the dean says, hey James, I need you to teach a new course. Ooh, wow, okay. When? In 2 weeks or something. Okay, that's a lot. I've got to develop the scope of the course, right? Identify key learning objectives. We have 15-week semesters. You get roughly the same? Yeah, okay, 15-week semesters, typical, 3 hours a week, whatever. I'm going to use a book. I want to tie the sections of the book into the material. And again, sorry, engineering thing, accreditation, criteria 3. Yeah, give me an idea if some of these are aligned. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about that. How long should that take? Doug, how long? An afternoon, maybe, because you're experienced? Yeah. I want to ask the assistant professor. Yeah, Doug's like, well, what answer should I give that he won't yell at me for? So really, so you teach mechanics of materials, right? So you're my brother. Yeah. And how about statics? Yeah. How about dynamics?
I've helped teach those before.
So you haven't taught it yet. So you're going to teach dynamics in the fall. I need you to do all this. How long is it going to take? An afternoon, a week, 5 hours?
Several days, I'd say.
Several days. Okay. Yeah, it's reasonable. Okay, it's a lot of time. All right. I'm going to talk about 2 forms of prompting that I've sort of used that I find useful. This simple prompt approach, and I stole this from the folks at Alchemy. There's their link. Free webinars that are on YouTube and live. Fantastic. So definitely pop over to these guys. So I like to think of prompting in this simple prompt in 4 parts, right? What is the role that ChatGPT or whatever tool you're using is to take on? What are you asking it to do? Any requirements? And what's the output? Okay, so for instance, I'm in the role of a presenter, give me a summary of this paper. Be sure to include key points in a bulleted list, right? Because I'm going to be presenting, and the audience is very quiet and very skeptical, so I'm going to be nervous. And so could you summarize this paper for me? Right, so you don't have to have all 4. I'm just saying this helps me clarify what it is I'm asking. Okay, so here's a simple prompt. As an expert in teaching mechanical engineering to undergraduate students, can you list the typical topics covered in Strength of Materials course? Okay, again, I apologize for the mechanical engineering related stuff, but fill in the blank with your course. Okay, but wait, there's more. I feel like I'm the Popeil. Do you remember Popeil? Who remembers Popeil? Selling the pocket fisherman. Thank you. Thank you. One time I was doing a talk and I said, well, who was, geez, of course, one of the 7 warning signs is you forget what you were going to say. Who was the presenter who would take the microphone into the audience and, I can't remember. See, you remember the show. It was on TV. Yeah, what was the show? Phil Donahue. Thank you. See, that's like 3 of the 7 warning signs right there. So I was like, I'm gonna do like Phil Donahue, and the audience was like, who? Like, are they on Spotify? And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm doomed. Okay, there is often an additional prompt that I insert. Before we start, what clarifying questions do you have for me? What? Wait, what? Yeah, I'm asking ChatGPT to ask me, like, was it clear? Right? Okay. So, as an expert in teaching mechanical engineering to undergraduate students, can you list the typical topics, blah, blah, blah. Before you answer, do you have any questions for me? Yes, I do. And oh, by the way, I'm going to be showing you screen grabs. Maybe if we have time, we can do some stuff live. So a couple things I want to point out. That's the typical screen. See, I just put the prompt in, right? So there it is. That's me putting the prompt in. Notice at the bottom, it's warning you, sometimes I get things wrong. And up at the top, it's telling you what version you're using. So I pay the money, 20 bucks, so I've got access to a couple different versions. Okay, so there it is. And it's like, sure, yeah. I got a couple of questions for you. Number 1, is there a specific textbook? Well, duh, right? I told it I'm going to, strength of materials and everything. I probably should give it some details. And are there any areas you want to emphasize? Well, okay, I'm going to go ahead and answer that. Yeah, I'm going to use Bear's book. By the way, it's Bear, not beer. It's Bear, it's German. Beer is something else, and we're very much in favor of, but it's Bear. I want the latest edition. Yeah, 15 weeks. What do you suggest for the main topics? Like, of course, right? What an obvious question. I didn't think to tell it to use that book, right? So don't assume it can read your mind yet. Anyways, here are the topics. Well, it's actually pretty good, right? That's not bad, except those topics I cover in other courses. So I had a conversation, said, hey, this is great, but these 2 topics, take them out. I cover them elsewhere. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then I said, look, my class meets 3 times a week, blah, blah, blah. Build out a schedule for me. Just draft it out. Okay. Here, James, here you go. What else you got for me? So that's kind of nice. I like that. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good starting point. I got a tricky one for you. I know. I'm not supposed to, what's the word? Anthropomorphize or whatever? I don't know. I'm not supposed to treat it like a human. But my mom raised me to be polite, and I try to honor my mom here. So I'm like, oh, thank you. It's so nice. I really appreciate it. And my friends who understand machine language or machine learning and all this are like, James, you're really being silly. So I'm sorry. Can you match the topics we put in our table to the chapters and sections of the book? It's like, yeah, of course I can. There you go. It's like, this is great. Uh-oh, that's completely made up. It made that up. Those are not the right sections. They're very close. They're scary close. On first glance, I was like, well, this is really good. No. because it didn't read that book, right? It has an idea. It knows a lot about solid mechanics, right? And so it said, I think these are the right sections. Wrong. That's wrong. So I opened up the book, took out my cell phone, and I took, lousy pictures, and I uploaded it to ChatGPT, and I said, look, here's the latest edition. Here's the table of contents. And it's like, oh, okay. Put it in an MS Word format for me, right? And there it is, and these are spot on, absolutely correct. Okay, so lesson number 1, with confidence. Oh yeah, here you go. Here you go, Jimmy boy, got it all for you. What else? What else can I do for you? And it was wrong, but it was wrong with confidence. You got to appreciate that, but it's dangerous. Make sure your students understand that. It won't say, I think this is right, I'm not sure. No, it's authoritative. Here you go, got it. Okay, and I just broke this out just so we could work through it. I like this. As an expert in higher education pedagogy, can you identify the learning objectives and so forth? I want you to use Bloom's revised taxonomy. I have a pet peeve about understand as an action verb. I get it at the base level of Bloom's revised. Understand is there, and I understand that. But if I'm teaching a course in Shakespearean sonnets and my learning objective is you're going to understand Shakespearean sonnets, how do I measure that, right? Oh, you have a smile on your face, so yes, you understand? No. So for me, it's a pet peeve. Sorry, rant over. Also, you're an expert on ABET Criterion 3 from the 2022-23 criteria, and put it in an MS Word. So there you go. Do this for me. Boom, did it. And that's pretty good ABET. The learning objectives could use a little bit of help, but they're not bad. This is a first pass. I mean, I'm way ahead of the game here. Fantastic, right? So, okay, I can work with this. As an expert in higher education pedagogy, please review the table I just showed you and develop a course description. Okay. Yeah, right. You teach the course, right? It's pretty good. It's not bad. Okay. Learning outcomes, okay, yeah, all right. I mean, this is a pretty good draft. Okay. I spent literally about 5 or 6 minutes doing this. How long did you say it would take you? A couple days, maybe an hour or two here and there. Yeah, not like 24 times 3. That's not what you meant. Okay. But certainly 4 or 5 hours. So I've got an excellent draft in minutes. Remember when I said office hours I liked? I'm now pretty chill in my office. My door is open. Students can stop by. I'm not like, oh, look, you know what? I'm swamped. I got to get this thing done. I've got a couple of extra hours. I might walk down the hall, talk to a colleague. I might go for a walk and just clear my head, right? I might take a nap, right? Because I told you I'm old. I need to rest. So pretty cool, pretty powerful. What would you do with those extra hours? Work on that proposal. Get that paper out. Talk to a colleague, right? There are a lot of interesting things that we can recover. But I do have a question. Who is this expert in higher education pedagogy? Who is it? Who is it? Oh, I know who it is. It's the internet. Oh, great. Yeah, maybe I could refine this a little bit. Let's be a bit more intentional, right? So this is, a different way of prompting. So what if, and pick your favorite, teaching expert or whatever. Ken Bain is fairly well known. What if I could leverage the knowledge of someone like Ken Bain, right? He runs the Best Teacher Institute and so forth. There's a little blurb from his webpage. He's got some books out. What if I could, hey, Ken, could you take a look at this? I know you're busy, but you've written a lot of stuff. It's out there. What do you think? Okay. So, hey, ChatGPT, using the internet, can you identify up to 8 sources of information? Yeah. And oh, by the way, those are links. You click on them and they go like to higher education or whatever. Okay. Yes, ChatGPT can access the internet. Up there it tells you the sites it accessed, right? So if it's accessing, jamesfavoritesites.com, you might want to say, yeah, exclude that site and do it again, right? Because I don't know what James is up to. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. So acting through the lens of Ken Baines, can you review the course description and learning objectives and give me feedback? Now, if this works, this would be cool. And it works, right? So I'm familiar with Ken's work. And when I read this, I thought, and I don't know Ken, but the large language model knows enough of his work to be able to give me some really good feedback that is very much in line with his teaching, right? The framing powerful questions is such a Ken approach to things. Deep learning. This is great. But I'm a mechanical engineer. I don't know anything about this. I'm going to go find the instructional design team, the Center for Learning and Teaching, whatever you have. Who are the people on campus who, I'm really interested in this. Can you explain it to me better? I mean, I could ask ChatGPT too, but I got people right on campus. And didn't I just save a couple hours? I'm going to go make some new best friends who are going to help me be a better teacher. They're going to help my students excel. Okay. So how might Ken revise the course description? Like this. Wow, this is kind of interesting. Through active learning exercises, case studies, collaborative. I better change my teaching, because if I want to live up to this, I got to learn a little bit about active learning exercises. I got to pull in some case studies. This stimulates a lot of really important thinking about me as an educator that I find very exciting. And the learning objectives are very powerful, right? So now I'm going to revamp the whole class. This is exciting. And then it provided an explanation for all this. This is, to me, really exciting. I'm able to leverage an expert. Okay, I have an idea. Could I build teams of experts? Yeah. You can. So, I use Perplexity, I use Google, I talk to the instructional designers on my team, who's really good in AI, in pedagogy and so forth, right? Give me some names. I did a little bit of work, and I put together this little table. So now, if I want to look at something through the lens of experts in inclusive and equitable teaching, here are some people, and I can go and review their literature, look at what they're doing, and say, yeah, look at my course through their lens. So in this case, I just picked scientific and cognitive-based teaching. So here are some people. Okay, what if we looked at the course description and the learning objectives through that lens? So I copy those names from there. I go in the ChatGPT. You can see I just pasted it right in and said, can you review the course description, blah, 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 based on these guys? What feedback would they have for me? Okay, here we go. I'm getting interesting feedback from this group of people. And this caught my eye. Well, it's like cognitive strategies. It sounds important, and I like to sound important, so that looks good. Retrieval practice, formative feedback. Okay, I want to learn more about that. So I go and ask specifically about that. It listed out a bunch of things, and it's giving me more information. There's a link there, Best Teachers Institute, and it talks about more frequent low-stakes assessments, provide immediate feedback to students. Okay, right? So I'm feeling good about this. This is someone who's published, evidence-based, right? So I like it. And what I want to do is go in and try to use this, right, to give students an opportunity to learn from their mistakes and build up their understanding. Okay, so now I like this frequent formative assessment sort of thing. Hey, ChatGPT, I want to prepare some practice problems. Right? As an expert in mechanical engineering, give me 10 problems based on chapter 2, blah, 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 from the book. Before we start, do you have any questions for me? Of course it's going to have questions for me because I didn't give it very much information. It doesn't really know that that's a sophomore level course. So it says, okay, I got some questions here. Right? What's the difficulty level? What types of problems, right? Resources, can they use their book, the internet, whatever, right? So it asked me a bunch of questions, of course, right? I should have been a little more specific here. So, hey, yeah, here's my response. A mix of basic to medium difficulty. Let's see what it comes up with. Basic calculations, some real world problems, no derivations. Students can use the book, format, a mix of both, and a mix from all the sections, 2.1 to 2.7 is fine. So I'm going to let it just go do its thing. And wow, it did exactly what I wanted. It's got some multiple choice. It's got some open-ended questions. These are great. Hey, students, you can work on these. I can give you some feedback, blah, blah, blah. So then I said, all right. I took a photograph of a problem from one of the books I wrote 25 years ago, and I took a photo with my iPhone and I loaded it into ChatGPT. This is a homework problem back of the book. And I said, blah, 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 I would like you to solve this problem for me as shown in the figure. Can you describe it and solve this? Okay, so there's the picture. So could it read the words there from the photo? That's what I was kind of interested in, because the narrative describes the problem. Whoa. So if a student handed this in, I'd be like, whoa, that's great work. Hey, James, you're really learning this stuff. That is not only beautifully laid out, maybe a little too much white space, so I'm going to take a point off, but it's perfect. I mean, this is great. Right? Does the math, and oh, by the way, the stress is about equal to this, and then it gets it to me to a bazillion, significant figures, so go figure. Anyways, perfectly correct. It's great. I love it. Students are going to love this, right? Let's do another one. This is fun. Sorry for the word problem, and sorry it's another engineering problem, but yeah, I've got a turbine engine with a shaft to a gear reduction to this output, and I want it to design the diameter of the shafts, right? It's going steady state. I give it some information. Boom, look at this. It's the chain of thought. It's telling me how it worked through the problem. Wow, and it formatted it beautifully. That's fantastic. Uh-oh, it's wrong. That is not the 1/3 root of that parenthetical expression. But boy, it was confident in presenting it to you, wasn't it? Here you go. Yep, that's wrong. Okay, hey, your approach is correct. However, you did not calculate the cubed root correctly. Please review your work. Take your time and do it again. Okay, and it did it right. Now, I'm a subject matter expert, and I knew it was wrong. But ChatGPT and our students might not have known that was wrong. And the question came up at lunch, if all we're doing is teaching them how to use ChatGPT, and they went out to, SpaceX or some other local company, oh, I know how to design these things. No, you don't. You don't know how to design these things, right? So we have to make sure that our students take information and turn it into knowledge. And then with that knowledge, they can be effective. Can these tools help you with the information? Yes, but be careful. Okay, so it did it right. Great opportunity to point out to students, don't rely on this stuff. It's not as accurate as you might think, even though it didn't say, hey, I'm not sure this is right. Hey, James, could you check it? No, it said, there you go. I got the answer for you. Yeah, what else you got for me? Okay, great exercise to students. Here, hand it out. Say, look, I'm pretty sure that some of these might be wrong, right? Why don't you check them? And when I was, when I've practiced as an engineer, I worked for General Motors, I worked for Bell for short periods of time. part of my work originally was checking engineering calculations, right? So that's not an unreasonable thing. And by the way, when I showed you the 10 problems, there were errors in those. The classic error for the multiple choice problems is some of the answers weren't there. You want to drive your students crazy? Give them a multiple choice test where the answer isn't A, B, C, or D. All right? One of two things will happen. They'll either chase you across town or they'll grind away on it until they figure it out, and they'll come and shake your, the exam in your face, in which case you're really happy because they learned the material. So interesting. Okay, we talked about active learning and everything. Say, hey, I want to do an active learning exercise. Yeah, I want to get the students involved. How can I do that? Something on thin-walled pressure vessels. So again, from my team of experts, Scott Freeman says, hey, try this. Well, that's cool. Are any noteworthy failures I could use? Yeah, there's a whole bunch. And this one caught my eye, the Apollo 13 incident, which of course I remember following. For many of my students now, Apollo 13 was after Apollo 12, right? Yeah, I know. Did you see the movie with Tom Hanks? Who? I'm getting old. And don't even tell me about the time Bob Dylan came to campus. And I said, wow, Dylan's coming to campus. They were like, who? It's like, please. Getting old is rough. I love this. This is a cool one. I like this active learning thing. I need some background. I want to just quickly talk to my class and say, here's what happened with Apollo 13. It was really quite an amazing incident. Could you put some stuff together? And I asked for 6 PowerPoint slides. Now, it didn't give me the slides. It worked out the slides. So I just took them and threw them in another app. And by the way, you can get these made in a variety of ways. But Gamma is another AI app that makes PowerPoint slides. I put that information into Gamma, and it gave me this. It gave me this 6 slides. I go into class. I say, look, you might not know about Apollo 13. Let me go through this real quick. Here's what happened, right? The oxygen tank, right? They needed to stir the tanks because the way the oxygen settled, and they had to stir them, and there was a short circuit. So when they went to stir the tank, the short circuit, I don't know, it's oxygen, it exploded. And that was, what happened with the explosion. And then the root cause is a little bit different. But the idea is this is a real world situation with a pressure vessel that exploded. So, it can be kind of fun. Yep, cheating. Let's just be clear. Cheating's been around forever. It's not going away. It's a heck of a lot easier to cheat now. So let's just be clear. These tools make it crazy easy. So again, I'm sorry to keep invoking Ethan, but he really is a thought leader in this area. Students will cheat with AI. Yes, super easy. But they will also begin to integrate AI into everything they do, raising new questions for educators. Yes, us, right? Students will want to understand why they are doing assignments that seem obsolete thanks to AI. Some of those assignments will be obsolete, and others, it's incumbent upon us to help them understand why they need to go through the hard part so that later on they can use the easy part, right? They will want to use AI as a learning companion, co-author, or teammate. They will want to accomplish more than they did before, and they will want answers for what AI means for their future learning paths. And I would add, and for their careers. Right? So I think that's powerful, and I think that really, helps frame this. And as I said, cheating's been around for a long time. Unemployedprofessor.com had 10 to 20,000 people around the world who would write an essay that was Turnitin proof for $150 to $250. Their tagline was, why work hard? Let us do the hard work while you party. And they were making money. This has been going on for a long time. So we have to have conversations transparent conversations. Hey, I used AI to help me produce this material. Here's how you can use AI in my course. Here's how you shouldn't. Here's why. Right? We're here to help you learn. Gathering information is not learning. Right? I got the world's information in my cell phone. Okay. I love this. This is the title of an actual article, right? There's the link. The Unpleasantness of Thinking, a meta-analytic review of the association between mental effort and negative effect. I just had to put it up there because it's a recent article in the American Psychological Association Journal. And this graph sums it up. The more mental effort it takes, right, the bigger the negative effect. I mean, of course, we know that. But those of us who are educators, those of us who went and got, PhDs and decided to stay at the university because this is the coolest job ever, we know that. We put in that hard work and we know that it's effort and it's hard. But learning oftentimes is. But this is the psychological reason why, easy button, I'm just going to cheat. So we have to overcome this. This is human nature. We have to overcome this. All right? So people are good at finding ways of avoiding something they don't want to do, like mental effort. Right? Absolutely. Okay. So encourage thinking, right? Not replace it with AI. Right? By the way, generative AI detectors on essays don't work. They are an unreliable witness. Do not trust them. Using large language models as answer bots leads to high homework grades and low test scores. Yeah, the blue books are coming back, right? The blue books are coming back. Yeah, you sit down, open the book, answer it. And I'm responsible for online programs at my university. I'm having nightmares about online courses, right? So that's a real challenge. Use LLMs as tutors, guiding students, not answering for them. You can tell it, hey, don't answer for me, guide me through this, right? And they're best used as a co-intelligence tool to help us, do better thinking, to give me new ideas. Oh, active learning, that's cool. Like, how do I do that? Who can I talk to about that, right? I did want to show you, if you haven't played with it yet, the Google product, Notebook LM, really quite impressive. A 2 million token window, which is, you could load an entire book in there. And I loaded all my notes from my innovation class last semester. Actually, I will give this to I'll share this with my students next week. But this product built an FAQ of the course, built a study guide with questions and glossary, all kinds of interesting questions for it, a timeline, plus it's an LLM. Down at the bottom, my students can ask questions, and guess what? It will only reference the material you upload. So it's only going to reference my class notes. And then, do you see that little audio button there? It put together a 15-minute podcast on my course. Yeah, 2 people talking, right? It's crazy. And you could, a 2 million token context window is insane, right? That's an entire book, it's an entire PDF, but I'm hearing from my colleague that that's got its problems. So hopefully you'll get that fixed, and Google will buy your solution, and you'll be rich and famous. Yeah, okay, all right. I was testing him. He was looking a little stoic there, but he's like, oh yeah, that works, all right. So this is a tool to play around with. Here is the what was it? Let me go back. The study guide. Yeah, this is the study guide. What are the key differences between invention, entrepreneurship, innovation? So these are things I talk about in my class, right? It's got all kinds of great information. It's really cool, okay? Right, so definitely check it out. All right, couple minutes. I want to talk to you about some administrative stuff. So one of the things I was asked to do is look at student evaluation of teaching. We got multiple schools and colleges on campus. We had 6 different evaluation forms. Had a committee, couldn't get anywhere on the committee. So I took the 6 evaluation forms, put them all in ChatGPT. These are, questions. Am I a good teacher? Am I a bad teacher? Am I funny? Am I entertaining? Right? That kind of nonsense. And I said, I need to come up with better questions. I'm very concerned about bias in the questions. So I'm an old white guy. I walk into an engineering class. I have a certain gravitas and an easygoing nature, and students just assume I know what I'm talking about. I've been fooling them for decades. So that's fine. But not everybody walking into that situation feels comfortable. And if the questions are about me, it's not about me. It's about your learning. It's about the course. It's about, did I set the right environment and so forth. So some of these questions, there's bias there. And the data are clear that that can influence student evaluation of teaching. It can influence tenure, promotion, and a variety of other things. I don't want that. So what I did, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out and get a team of experts. So I spent a little time, used Propensity, used ChatGPT and other tools, found some experts who are actively publishing in this area, read some of their papers, like this is good stuff. And I said, okay, team of experts, go through all these questions, give me some feedback, and then could you rewrite them for me with this idea of trying to reduce bias? And it broke them down into 6 main categories. I love this. And it said, here's our suggestions on what these questions should be. I mean, think about that. It's about course design, instructor accessibility, right? Am I available? What's a big complaint students have? Well, he's never there for office hours and, doesn't answer email, right? Boom. So it's not about, does he dress nice? Is he entertaining? Did you like him? I don't care if you like me or not. Am I a good teacher? And these get much closer to getting the proper student evaluation. This information is actionable. When I get this information, okay, all right, yeah, I wasn't as inclusive and respectful in the classroom as I should have been. That's on me. You know what? I got to fix that. And so I'm going to go talk to people who can help me reflect on that and be better. Okay. I'll zip through this. You got a cool podcast or video, you can load it in the Notebook LM or get the transcript. I do this, and I assign it to the class. Hey, watch this video, right? Jobs to be done, Clay Christensen, Harvard Business School, part of my innovation class. Go ahead, listen to this podcast, and then I give the students questions, okay? And I said, hey, ChatGPT, develop a rubric for me. All right, so class, for next class, watch that and listen to that podcast. So we come in, okay, did everyone listen? Great, here's a quiz, and here's the rubric for the quiz. And so off they go. Here's the rubric, put it in a table, fantastic. The students go off and do it. I randomly assign the students a 3-digit number because I'm worried about putting student information, even though I actually have the enterprise version, which protects the information as much as I trust any of the big tech companies to protect the information. Rant over. I then gave the quiz, students handed it back to me, was able to scan them in, and I randomly picked, I got 30-something students, I picked 10 papers, and I graded them, looked at ChatGPT's numeric scale, and we were very, very close. So, and it's a low-stakes quiz. I mean, it's worth like a point or something. But I was able, next class, to give them the feedback. Fantastic. Okay, so, AI-assisted grading, a whole new area to kind of think about. I'm not an expert in it. I've done very little about it. There was a great paper a good paper by MIT that talked about it. It's got some challenges, but I do think it can help, especially with low stakes, formative, and getting feedback back to students as soon as possible. Some suggestions there. You'll have this whole slide deck. So AI tutoring, we are currently at Bighamton doing 2 pilots. So we're using Khan Mingo, so Solomon Khan Academy, has a very low-cost platform. So we have about 600 students doing a, in this cohort, and we're using it and evaluating it, seeing how it works. And then there's a startup in the Austin area, Cognify Tutors. And so this is in an advanced class with about 110 students, an advanced analytical methods class. They do a very bespoke tutoring. They interview the faculty member. They have all his notes and information. And it's not a generic platform. It's a very specialized platform. So I'm looking at the two ends of that spectrum to see how well that's going to work. And ethical considerations, right? I mean, OpenAI isn't very transparent about where they got all that material from. So there are some big ethical issues here. I don't have the answers. We have to collectively figure this stuff out, right? But I do know it's important to be transparent with your students. Let them know when you're using it, when they can use it, how they should use it, and why. Right? That's so important. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm guessing it's true here. The students at Bighamton are way smarter than I am. I'm just so impressed with them. And the students I've talked to here are equally, if not more so, impressive. So they'll get it. And you know what? Cheater's going to cheat, right? So you want to pull them in, but there's only so much you can do. But being honest and transparent is very important. I do have a concern about accessibility of these tools, especially for marginally identified populations, low-income populations, right? This is a big challenge, right? So, how do we address that? And policy considerations. I mean, this is something every campus is struggling with. I do think it's important to have published policies, academic honesty in light of these tools. Go back and look through your academic honesty information and so forth. Okay, so key takeaways, large language models and pretty soon small language models, which are going to run locally on your phone, right? Mostly learned from the internet. They're constantly being improved. They're getting better. But, there's a big yikes there. I think down the road, there'll be more licensing of databases, which could prove interesting. I'm consulting with McGraw-Hill, which is a big publisher. And we are looking at taking all that vetted material of the McGraw-Hill books. And wouldn't it be cool if a faculty member could query all that information to develop really powerful learning materials? And students could leverage their trade books and so forth. So I'm in conversations with how to do that. Guide it. Talk to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're using. Guide it. Here's what I want. Bring in experts through the lens of, Clay Christensen. He's published all over the internet. ChatGPT knows all about him. LLMs make mistakes, so be careful and be aware of equity and ethical issues. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you, that was very kind. So what did you think? Was this at all helpful? How many of you, can I ask some questions? Show of hands. How many of you have used ChatGPT or similar to, yeah, I know you guys, right? Yeah, so how many haven't used it yet at all? Yeah, why not? Why not? No.
I'm not a computer person at all. I'm the biosafety officer, so I deal with the biologicals, the bugs, and the synthetic, but the speed of technology and the novel technology and the techniques and everything that are coming out, it's almost a constant retraining myself and relearning stuff that didn't even exist when I was in graduate school. And
Was she supposed to have the microphone? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. So I love this piece of the speed of this and retraining and relearning. ChatGPT, these tools can be your assistant on many of those topics.
Oh, I'm taking pictures left and right, left and right.
Oh,
I'm like,
I'll give you the whole
look at
slide
this
deck.
program, look at that program, because nobody from my office came. I was the only one, and that's only because I'm trying to see how I can utilize the volume of information that's available to implement it in what I do as far as not just biosafety, but biosecurity as well.
Yeah.
So.
And so in your office, you are now an expert.
No, not even close.
That's how it works. We're all novices here. If you've got a little bit of knowledge, you're an expert. And a couple more questions, if you don't mind. Well, I was going to ask a question. Yeah, I want to ask a question. So how many of you allow your students to use it? Yeah, I'm seeing some hands. Yeah. What class do you teach?
A course on energy.
On energy. Okay. In what class?
One of our religion classes.
Okay. And you're using ChatGPT. So incredible. It can be used in so many different classes. So my recommendation is try it for 5 to 10 hours. Experiment with it. Find out what works, what doesn't work. Push it, prod it, and then have an opinion on it. Okay? Can I use it? Can I not use it? Last question. Students, raise your hand. How many students are here? 2, 3, 4. Okay, you're being okay. I'm not going to. All right. Have you used any of these tools? Always. Okay. You've never used it, I know. Have you used it? Yeah. Right? Was there? Yeah. A couple more students. Have you used it? Yeah. Our students are using it. Let's work together. Let's be transparent. Let's share best use cases. And let's constantly focus on knowledge building, on students, helping them build that knowledge. That's so important. By the way, we're going to be dependent on them because we're all getting older, and they're going to be the taxpayers taking care of us in the not too distant future. So I really want you guys to be successful. Okay, what questions do you have for me? I knew Elle would have a question for me, and I'm not going to be able to answer it because she knows more than I do.
Hi.
What do you got?
So there's this school in Austin called Alpha Schools. Have you heard of them?
No.
So they've developed a K through 12 program that's trained on Common Core that is doing the base 5 subjects in 2 hours. They call it 2-hour learning. The group of kids works with a guide, so they have the ability to be with an age-appropriate peer group, but pacing information in the style and like the pace of complexity that works for them. And they're able to open up their afternoons for like a wide variety of mentorship and like apprenticeship style options. What do you think about programs like that?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And I think your generation are going to come up with even better ideas on how to make access to high quality education, how to make it equitable, how to make it diverse, right? Think about the incredible gift you have of attending Baylor University. Incredible institution, really dedicated faculty, incredible facilities. How can we make that experience available to more people? And so I'm excited about what you're all going to do with this. Oh my gosh, I'm sounding, you all going to do with this? Is that? I'm from New York, for crying out loud, right? Did I talk too fast, by the way? Long time ago, I was testifying at the International Trade Commission in Washington. And, I'm up there and I'm talking and everything. And the stenographer, this is old days, said, stop. And the judge looks and I look. She goes, if you don't slow down, I'm not going to get any of this into the official record. And I'm like, sorry, I'll speak a lot slower. I get excited. I'm sorry. Okay, what else we got? Another question?
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Are you allowed to? Is he allowed to? Okay.
My follow-up question is, you mentioned how our generation is going to be the ones building these tools and building them out, and you mentioned making education more equitable for different people. And
I
that's
hope
something
so.
you and I agree on. What is 3 things we can be doing to work towards that in our research?
Yeah, so in terms of making education more making it more equitable, right? So so in the world of LLMs, I think, I always focus on the problem, right? Like find a problem, fall in love with the problem, right? And then people always want to brainstorm. Oh, question storm on the problem, right? Is that really the problem or is it another problem, right? And then from there, okay, let's brainstorm. So I can't say it's this, this, and this, but what I will say is find out where there's friction in the system. Find out where the needs are. Find out who isn't part of the conversation. Why? Why are they not part of the conversation? And you get in there and you mix with all of humanity, and you will find, I guarantee you, you will find opportunities to leverage your gifts. And it's nothing better than that. That is why we're here, right? Okay, what else?
Go ahead. Oh,
Yeah.
I had a question kind of, I think the key to this is writing good prompts. And the other half, you talked about it being wrong. Can you prompt it to identify if and when it is wrong, or to review and do all of those things in order to minimize the risk of it being wrong?
That's a great question. So with the other version of ChatGPT, I said, this is wrong. Go back and correct it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, let me go back and correct it. Here it is. It was wrong. I said, no, it's still wrong, right? You need to think carefully, take your time. I'm not watching. Go ahead and do it. And after 3 tries, it was still wrong. So I didn't tell it what was wrong. I said, there's an error. Then I said, you did this wrong, and it figured it out. Now with the latest ChatGPT 4.01, 1.0, yeah, it's Morse code, it's dashes and dots, I don't know. The latest model, first time through, got it, no problem. So they're getting better and better. But it's like, people say, oh, it can't even count the number of words, or it doesn't know how many R's in strawberry. Well, it uses tokens. It doesn't use words. The new models are like, oh, people are upset by that, so we'll change it so that it does know how many R's in strawberry, because apparently that's important. I'd rather have it get the cubed root of a parenthetical expression correct, but, there are market pressures. What else we got?
I really appreciated the example.
Oh, it was all mechanical engineering. Dude, I handed you your course.
Great example. Could you comment on how AI takes into account the student element whenever you are creating those content? So for example, you had it create a 15-week schedule, and it broke it up evenly. It had a great layout. You also said that it can be wrong. Did it do a good job, or can you comment on its ability to assess this is a reasonable amount of content for students to capture in a so many hour period? And then also I noticed on there, it had in there review sessions, right? That would be a benefit to the student. Does it understand what a decent, reasonably scoped lesson would be?
Okay, great question, and part of it is really easy. It doesn't understand anything, right? So it's putting together things that it thinks I want to hear. And so what's very interesting is, and I haven't done this, but I haven't done it with specifically, but I have written pieces. So I have to do a lot of legal, I'm not a lawyer, and for some reason I'm involved in contracts, I don't know why. And I will often ask it to review a contract from different points of view, or if I write something that, the provost, Nancy's not here, right? So the provost sends something out, right? And you know darn well it was like one of the deans or a vice provost that wrote it, and then the provost reads it and sends it out. So I do a lot of that on my campus. So sometimes I'll write something. We had the tent city, we had protests, right? We had all that kind of stuff. So I'll write something, and then I asked ChatGPT to look at that from different perspectives, and it gave me some great feedback, student perspective and so forth. So that aspect, fantastic. I didn't add my campus calendar. I should have, and I could have said, look, can you reconcile it? And I could have gone in conversationally. Don't just accept the answer. Have a conversation with it. Think of it as your creative assistant. You know, a grad student or a student that's working with you or an intern, right? They're not going to know, oh, yeah, you're right. You know, we have that holiday or whatever, right? So I'm in the Northeast. We're very close to New York City. All the major Jewish holidays are holidays on my campus. I need to tell, we don't teach on those days. You have to make sure those days are not included in the teaching calendar, right? So it'll incorporate that. Just like if I had an assistant and I said, hey, oh, you know, you need to fix, you know, Yom Kippur, you got to factor all that in, Rosh Hashanah, okay, yeah, okay, you know, we'll figure it out. Yeah, what else? Yes?
Thank you. Great talk. I have more of a general questions. Probably I should accept there is not a definite answer. As you showed a great presentation, by the way, on how we can leverage language models to make life easier, in your case, designing a course material. But if we zoom out, then the content that was taught in class before GPT era and after GPT era is still the same. And the problems students were solving based on books are still the same. Now, if we were to take the language models as a piece of tools that can make the learning process easier for the students, how do you advise these tools should be used actually in class to teach students the concept from teacher's angle as well as from the student's angle, how they can leverage so that I can understand the general relativity better than rather reading the books. Of course, I don't read general relativity.
Yeah. Are you a physics major? What's your major? Oh, okay, you're a computer guy. All right. So there's lots in there, and I'm not sure, you know, how to break it up into answering it. I do think there are, in terms of assessment of learning, so you mentioned the problems sets are still the same. Are there different ways? I think, if I understood correctly, I want to get more to authentic assessment. So if I'm teaching mechanical engineers or I'm teaching innovation, some of the students have gone out to, you know, start up little companies sort of thing. Authentic would be, you know, how do you brainstorm and come up with a good solution, test that solution, you know, get that in front of prospective sponsors, right? You know, pre-seed funding and stuff like that. So that's authentic. The assignments I give them are going to be simulating those authentic things. In mechanical engineering, my friend left because he has to go teach. So that is what would be an authentic experience for starting mechanical engineer, right? So authentic assessment, I think, is very important. In terms of in class, it's great for some classes, not great for others. Right? In my innovation class, it is the best brainstorming, question storming partner the teams have. They love it, right? So I think that makes sense. In other classes, it may not make sense. I will say this, we need the arts and humanities involved. I want the social sciences involved, working with us with these tools, because the opportunity to work on big societal questions by leveraging these tools is phenomenal. And we know we have some big societal problems. Thank you. You've been extremely kind, great hosts, so thank you very much. You're telling me this at the end, right? So he stood up. So he cut it off, right? Okay. I'll sit down.
Well, thank you so much for that great talk. We had, during the last 3 days, discussion about the ethics, discussion about the future of AI, discussion about the health, AI in the health and medical field, and now in higher education. I hope that the series of these keynotes and the meetings have given you some new ideas, new thoughts about how to use AI and the future of AI. Most importantly for us as a Baylor, I think that this is an opportunity for us to be different and make a contribution in this AI field that others do not think about because their backgrounds and the nature of their institutions. So I hope that this is a beginning of the conversation that we'll continue to have. We have AI committee whose members, some of are here already. If you're AI committee members, please raise your hands. And we have new AI working group that is being formed by Dr. Brooks. So there are a number of different opportunities that you can participate and provide feedback. So thank you very much for participating during the last 3 days. And let's give thanks one more time to our speaker.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.